Well, by popular demand, the Canik TTI Combat versus the Shadow Systems XR920P. The Shadow Systems XR920P MSRP is more expensive than what you get with the Canik TTI Combat. However, the XR920P street price right now is about $1,000. $1,000 are these right now, and this one here obviously has a red dot that's not included with the pistol, and same thing goes for the XR920P. The red dot is not included. You see both of these pistols here. I'm going to have lights on these things. TR1 HLs, they're both comped. Both of these pistols, overall size, they are nearly identical. I'd say the Canik is probably 1/8 of an inch longer, I'd say, just a little bit more. But overall frame size and all that stuff, they're identical. The Canik, no doubt, is heavier than what this XR920P is. So that's going to translate a little bit. However, having shot the two of these, in order to prove it to you guys, because you're just going to say, well, he's just a Shadow Systems fanboy. Well, guess what? I'm going to shoot both of them side by side. And when you see that the XR920P shoots softer than the Canik, you're just going to have to believe it at that point, because it's just going to happen. I've shot both of these. The Canik has a lot of nice features, and we'll go into all that stuff about what is nicer than this Shadow Systems XR920P. But this XR920P is arguably one of the flattest shooting, lightest striker fire pistols on the market, and it's been 100% reliable, not one single issue through this thing. And I have probably close to about 3,000 rounds now through this XR920P with all kinds of different ammunition. I've cleaned it twice, you know, and I shoot the shit out of it. I love this gun. This thing here, obviously new for us, about 800 rounds through it now, and it's been nothing but reliable. It feels good in your hand. I think it's got better grip textures than what you're gonna get on the Shadow Systems. I think the magwell itself is nicer, and these grip textures, they feel good. Now, let's say slide serrations wise, you can see, look at the two of these. Personal preference on which one you think is better. I will say that I like the fact that this has the good slide serrations across the top on your Shadow Systems, because it's gonna make it easier when you're doing press checks or racking the slide. Now, the optics cut on the Shadow Systems is definitely better than what you're getting on the Canik. The Canik does use a plate system. It is RMR cut, and you get other plates with it inside the case. So you can put other optics on here. Now, the Shadow Systems uses no plates, uses screws and a spacer system, which I have, let's say, personally tested now, probably close to 50,000 rounds through Shadow Systems pistols with no issues with their optic system. The iron sights in these two pistols, they're both very good. You do get a front night sight here on your Shadow Systems pistol and a fiber optic front sight on the Canik. This has lightning cuts up there on the slide. This has lightning cuts here on the side as well. And then finish wise on here, this is gonna be like a Cerakote job, and this is a nitrided and Cerakote, and then you have a titanium nitride barrel on here with that bronze. Let's say overall frame circumference, you know, both of these, you know, this is going to be more like a Glock, I'd say. But however, it does have a really nice beaver tail, and you definitely get a higher grip and higher purchase on the Shadow System. Now, these do have like a thumb wedge if you're somebody that uses those. I used to. I can't say that I really use them as much anymore now that I've changed some things with my grip as time has progressed. The comp size on here, the Shadow Systems is significantly larger, which would account for the fact that it's also going to be significantly flatter shooting. Now, the trigger on the Canik, I mean, they're not really even in the same, you know, conversation. It's light. Here we're at the wall, and it's not going to creep. It's just going to break. And then the reset itself is pretty short. It's about 1/4 of an inch. And then we're back there at that wall, no creep, and it's flat. Now, the trigger on the Shadow Systems itself is more like a curved semi-flat. Now, this trigger itself, it breaks, I found it's about, you know, 4 pounds to come back. There's a wall, a little bit of creep, and I'm at the edge now of that striker plunger, and it's gonna break crisp and clean there now. Now, the reset itself, really audible opposed to what you get on the Canik. So if you're somebody that's using that reset and you like the audibleness, the Shadow Systems one's gonna be better for that. Now, grip textures, like I said, that Canik one is probably a little bit better. However, you're gonna get more gripping surfaces and a higher grip and a beaver tail on the Shadow Systems. Warranty-wise, Shadow Systems is well known for having excellent customer service. I've never personally used them myself. I've seen a lot of people talk about how good it is. It's a Texas-based company. Canik, obviously, it's made in Turkey. So if you're somebody looking for an American gun, This is not American. Nothing on this is American. So if you're somebody that wants an American gun, the Shadow Systems is going to be for you. And some people really care about that stuff. Let's say I prefer American-made guns. However, I'm also not, naive or just ignorant. And I'm going to shoot a gun based off how well it shoots. So let's shoot the two of these things, stop talking about it. I'm gonna run these things through a ton of different shooting drills, shooting on the move, shooting in between targets, transitions, a ton of different things, more like dynamic. I'm not gonna do a lot of talking throughout this review today because I want you guys to see it. But the first thing we're gonna do is right out of the gate, I'm gonna show you how the two of these perform side by side for recoil. So let's get into it. Something to note before we get into shooting these two pistols, if you're curious about anything that I'm wearing, like a kit loadout or any gear or anything like that, in the comment section down below or in the description, you can find a link to our website. On the website, you're gonna see a kit loadout. And then more importantly, full review of the XR920P is available, and a full review of that Canik TTI Combat is also available on the channel, so check those out. But let's shoot the XR920P first. Now is the Canik TTI Combat. They both shoot so great. However, the XR920P does shoot flatter. However, what I will add is that the trigger on the TTI Combat is phenomenal. And we're at 10 yards, and we'll go look at the target now. So what I'll show you is aimed here at like this valve of the heart, and this is with the XR920P. That's going to be 19 rounds. This is going to be 17 rounds with the Canik. So you see that both of them, I have no issues shooting them both accurately and keeping my shots on target where I want them to be, and the pistol itself does shoot really well. Both of them are absolutely fantastic shooters. I can't recommend both of them enough, but I can say that shooting the two of them, that the Shadow Systems is flatter shooting and softer on the recoil cycle, even though it's lighter, because that comp is definitely larger and more effective. But that trigger on the Canik is really, really nice. And in fact, a really good trigger like this can actually in some way, shape, or form help out certain shooters with shooter error on your trigger press or trigger pull. But let's shoot these things some more. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get into the rest of this review. We're gonna start out. Pistol is ready and loaded. And I'm gonna actually run with a loaded gun out. That's something that you should probably have some practice, be trained, be proficient with, but you can certainly do it if you're doing it safely. Whew, all right. Let's do it again, round two. From the holster. Had 19 rounds loaded up in the 19X mags for the XR920. This is our groups here. You see I threw one out of the A zone while approaching the target on the very first one. That was 11 shots. And then after that, I had about 6 rounds there for the next one. So overall, the pistol is easy to shoot. It tracks really flat, super, super forgiving. I love these pistols. There's no doubt about that. I will gladly wear the fanboy badge with honor the XR920's Ps because I love how well they shoot. But let's shoot that Canik now because those are fantastic pistols as well. I'm gonna do the exact same thing with that Canik. We're now gonna run through the same thing with the Canik TTI Combat. Pistol out, run down to the target, get to about 15 yards and engage. I did 11 shots the last time, so I'm gonna shoot for that 10 to 12. It's just gonna depend on my overall movement speed and how many I can get in before I get to a distance where I'm like, I'm gonna stop. What I can say is when I'm coming into the target, how I drive the gun down essentially as I'm coming into the target does not feel as nice or forgiving as that Shadow System. Granted, I've shot that more, but you know, at work I've been carrying a 320 for a while, and so going to a Glock is different. But however, what I'll say is like that high grip that you get on there and how I'm able to really clamp down that pistol and shoot just feels better. So this one, start from the holster, run down and empty out that magazine. He lost his left arm, innocent bystander, but in all seriousness, the Canik does not shoot as flat. It is not as forgiving under recoil. And in fact, the ability to keep the XR920P on target after every footstep and on the run like that is easier than what I found on the Canik. The Canik, it's not as easy. It's just, you could really feel that recoil. And it's a lot of that's going to be due to, like, let's say on the run or coming from the holster like that, building a perfect grip is not as easy. So because the shadow systems is more forgiving, it's easier to shoot in that respect. Now, granted, the trigger's fantastic. It's definitely better on this, but under stress, quote unquote, with that, you don't notice the trigger difference, not even a little bit. So that's good to see. Love that XR920P. I mean, if you're a law enforcement officer and you can carry one, the XR920P is an absolutely fantastic option. Would I carry this? No, I wouldn't. Would I use this as a range choice? Sure. Could it be home defense? Absolutely. Is it the XR920P as far as for like professional end user? No, it's not. And I think some of that's going to come down to the fact that, you know, you're just not going to see anybody carrying a Canik for law enforcement in the United States. It's just not going to happen. Shadow systems is already being issued by people, and it's a great pistol. So let's shoot this thing some more, do some target transitions, and a little bit more shooting on the move. I've set up at 15 yards, 2 separate C-zone steel targets. We're just going to do a reload in between the 2 of them because that'll help me gauge how that mag well feels between these 2 pistols. Overall, feels good on the Canik. Let's run it now with the shadow systems. What am I doing? I'm all f***ed up. Well, I missed the target more, but overall the mag wells, they feel the same between the 2 of them. Certainly I'll say is that like that trigger on that Canik is really, really nice. It's a really nice feeling trigger. But overall, like the mag well size for these 2 pistols, I can't really say that they're any different as far as how they feel putting magazines in there. Now, granted, I'm running 19X mags. With the standard shadow systems, you're going to get 2 17-round P mags. But if you're somebody that has any kind of Glock pistol or anything like that, and these mags are so readily available, it's kind of one of those things like, why wouldn't you just run these with the extended base pads? So let's shoot these 2 things a little bit more. I'll give you some final thoughts on the 2 of them. We'll close it out. We'll run the shadow systems now through a failure drill, so 2 to the chest and 1 to the head. Generally with these, you know, we're at like 7 yards here, so not too far away. We're pretty close, which is okay because, you know, like I said, we're doing a failure, so I want to shoot it fast. So 226. All right, let's do the same thing now with the Canik. .182. 188. 160. Ah! I was going to try and push it on that one, but the Canik, you can run this thing fast. At this distance, recoil-wise, not really noticing a whole lot. You know, grip at this distance is really all that's going to matter. And the Canik, the trigger on it, you can run this trigger faster, I've found. It's just, something about it just feels really good. You know, overall, you know, the 2 of them, I'm noticing like on the target, come up here and look at the head real quick. So like looking at the head on here between those 2 pistols, you know, I had one flyer up here, which that was actually when I was trying to recently outrun my headlights. But overall, the pistols, the 2 of them not having any issues getting that headshot and, you know, making good A-zone hits and then hitting that head. And they both are shooting good. I felt like the Canik, it is a really good shooting pistol in general. This thing is a great option for the market. Between the 2 of them, I probably prefer the XR920P for myself, But the Canik TTI Combat is an excellent option for somebody who doesn't like Glock style pistols and doesn't like shadow systems. There really isn't a wrong choice with the two of them. Again, like I said, for me, I'm picking the shadow systems as, you know, my top choice. I'll say the shadow system definitely shoots flatter than this. And on top of all that stuff, you were going to have an issue with the pistol, because if you shoot your guns enough, stuff will break. If you're going to have an issue, I would rather have that issue happen with the shadow systems because of that customer support and being a US based company that makes all their parts in-house in Texas versus a gun that's made in Turkey. For somebody that cares about American made, this obviously isn't American made. You get a lot of cool stuff in the case. You get the coin, all the other little knickknacks, you get a little, you know, cheesy little holster with it that I'm frankly never going to use and some people will like, and it's got a nice case. You know, but for me, you know, that case is not worth anything. The gun as it sits without all that stuff, I think it's 100% worth the value, just as much as that shadow systems is. So if you guys disagree with me, or if you've got a better option, you think, man, my pistol's better, let me know. Get in that comment section and let's start a little war and we'll go to town.